All right. Oh, hello. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on today's live presentation. My name is Greg Lewis. I'm the marketing manager for MetaStock, and we are the sponsors of today's webinar. Today's presenter is Kevin Nelson, and he'll be talking about how to use Supertrend indicator. Kevin Nelson, it turns out, is how do I say this? He used to work for MetaStock. He's an ex-employee, but I didn't want to say ex-employee because that sounds bad. He used to work for MetaStock many years ago, and he worked for MetaStock for many, many years. And after going out on his own, he started a company called Learn MetaStock, and he teaches people how to use MetaStock, and he's really, really good at it, and is exceptionally knowledgeable about MetaStock and trading in generally. And I know if you stick around, you will enjoy his presentation. Today's host is Jeff Gibby. He'll be coming at you from Salt Lake City. Kevin will be coming at you from Florida, and I'm coming at you right now from our satellite studio in Texas, where we're pleased to say it is finally no longer triple-digit temperatures outside. Mother Nature has finally worked out that it's fall, and today is a balmy 73 degrees, which is really perfect around here. So we're really glad about that. All right, we're going to be starting here in about 8 minutes. We have a video that I'd like to show you, just in case you've never heard of MetaStock and want to know a little about us. It lasts for a few minutes, and then I'll be back. Our main presentation will start in about 8 minutes and 10 seconds. Oh, by the way, I see a couple people are here, but everyone's being pretty shy. Go ahead and take a chance, I should say, go ahead and take a moment to chat in and say hello and let us know where you're coming from. We always enjoy that. And also, of course, during the presentation, chat in all you like with comments and questions. Please just be respectful of our presenter and your fellow guests. All right, we'll be back after I show you this video.
Hi there, Greg Lewis, MetaStock Software. As the marketing director, I get asked all the time, what is MetaStock? How can I help my trades? Well, stick around for about 3 minutes and I'll tell you. MetaStock is an award-winning software and data package that has been helping traders for over 35 years. Simply put, MetaStock is a tool for traders like you to analyze the markets. MetaStock helps you take the guesswork out of trading by offering a methodical, systematic approach to some key questions all traders come up against. Questions like, how do I decide which securities to trade when there are literally thousands to choose from? Which strategy should I use, and how do I test that strategy before spending my first trading dollar? When should I enter and exit a trade? How can I effectively manage the securities I'm interested in? And of course, how do I know where prices will go next? At the core of MetaStock are the Power Tools. The Power Tools give professional-grade analysis tools to private traders like you and me. You can scan the market with the MetaStock Explorer to filter and sort securities that show buy and sell signals based on your criteria. The MetaStock System Tester lets you test most strategies through a process called backtesting, which allows you to see how your strategy would have performed over time. You can easily manage and monitor the securities you are interested in with Quote Center. Quote Center lets you sort on a variety of criteria to view the data that's important to you. Then just double-click on a security if you want to see its chart. With the MetaStock Forecaster, you can even take advantage of patented technology to view probable future prices. If you're an options trader, you're going to love MetaStock's Option Scope. Option Scope puts all the critical info at your fingertips, displaying sortable, customizable, color-coded options data, including the Greeks. And MetaStock has solutions for traders of all levels and interests. If you're just getting into trading, you will appreciate the education offered by our many built-in systems. In addition to pointing out buy and sell signals, MetaStock explains how they work in an easy-to-follow commentary window. MetaStock has built-in systems based on popular strategies like MACD, Bollinger Bands, turtle trading, candlesticks, and many more. MetaStock even has the very popular and exclusive Rahul Mohindar Oscillator System, or simply known as the RMO. And as you become a more experienced trader, MetaStock grows with you. Advanced analysts will enjoy the comprehensive list of trading systems and indicators and the ability to build their own systems. And if you're a day trader, you can't do better than Zenith, the real-time news, data, and analysis package offered by Refinitiv, a world leader in market data. Add on the world-class support, and it's not hard to see why MetaStock has won the Stocks and Commodities Reader's Choice Award for 26 consecutive years. To find out more about MetaStock and how it can help your trading, visit metastock.com or contact a product professional via phone, email, or chat.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that short video presentation. So, of course, we are MetaStock. If you have any questions about MetaStock, you can ask them in chat anywhere along the line. Jeff and I will both be monitoring chat during this presentation. And if you have questions specific for Kevin during the presentation, of course, put it in the chat as well. Kevin may not have access to the YouTube questions, but we'll pass them along to him during the presentation. Now I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, we have an upcoming Euro Summit. It is a 4-hour marathon webinar. It includes people like Bobby Hiller and Daniel Sinig and Jay, whose name I can't remember, and another person whose name I can't think of right now. But anyway, it's really something you should attend. It's our Traders Euro Summit. It is Monday the 23rd. Why don't you go check it out? Check out all the speakers yourself. Go to metastock.com and go to the top of the page, and you will see a banner that links to it, and it's free to register, and it'll be a great time. So go ahead and register for that now. I can't think of anything else I need to let you know about other than make sure to like and subscribe if you like what you see, and make sure you hit that bell, and then you'll be notified every time we have a new presentation like this, which is usually 2 or 3 times a week. Now I see that Jeff and Kevin appear to be ready to roll. We'll be starting here in about 2 minutes. One final thought, as I try to mention every time, if you're watching me right now and this is recorded, you can just scan forward to the main presentation and just bypass all this stuff with me. We do this during the presentations to give people a chance to get in the room and get settled. And by the way, I see more people have arrived. Hello, Samuel. Thank you for saying hello. Hello, Jeffrey. Thank you for saying hello. Remember to say hello and let us know where you're from as you're coming on. And remember just to be very interactive. We really encourage people to ask questions, if you have simple requests, if you have comments, just throw them in the chat, and if we have time and are able, we will pass those on to Kevin, who will gladly answer questions, because that is what Kevin Nelson is really good at, answering questions about MetaStock and trading in general. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let you listen to some jazzy music as we continue to wait another 1 minute and 7 seconds for the presentation to start. Thank you again so much, and successful trading.
everybody. Good morning. It's Jeff Gibby over at MetaStock. Hope you're doing well. If you're joining us on YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe, do all those cool things. It helps a great deal. We really appreciate it. Today, we're going to talk about the Supertrend indicator. Kevin Nelson is going to be talking about how to trade with it. So it's good to see you. Thanks for everybody for coming, joining, saying hello. Good day, Neil, Fabio. Good day, MetaStock, Sam. If you're joining us, say hello. It's good to see you. It does help a lot. And we do like to see who's here. So make sure to chat a lot. If you have questions as we go, type them in. If they're in YouTube, I'll make sure that they get passed over to Kevin. So in any case, let's get to your favorite part. Today's demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and the accompanying software plugins. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. MetaStock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. Al says my sound is weak. I should turn that up a little bit. And I'm almost done talking anyway, for a minute at least. So Al, thanks for letting me know. Let me go ahead and we'll just talk about Kevin real quick. Kevin is one of the only guests that we ever bring on that actually hired me to work here. So we love Kevin. Kevin, when I started, he was the sales manager. He was in charge of sales, and he was actually a really good boss. And he was very, very knowledgeable about MetaStock. He was really good at training. And he now runs a company that he'll tell you a little bit about, and I'll tell you about as well, called learnmetastock.com. So he does a really, really good job with it. And today he's going to be talking about the Supertrend indicator. So let's go ahead and kind of kick things off. Kevin, how you doing?
Great. Thanks, Jeff. I always appreciate that introduction.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and do this. Hey, I think you're the only person that hired me that we have ever speak here. All right, cool. I will let you know when we can see the screen. I see Learn MetaStock. So,
all right.
Is there anything you wanted to add to that introduction of you?
Well, you were a great employee. That's all I can say. And I'll tell you what, I really do appreciate the hard work you've put in since then. I mean, what you guys do and putting all these on and these different conferences is just unbelievable, if you ask me. You've stepped it up in a huge way. Let's just put it that way.
I appreciate that. All right, but I'm going to get out of the way. It's your turn.
Okay. Well, thanks again, Jeff. As Jeff said, I used to work for MetaStock for a number of years. And in 2008, actually, I left the company and I started this company here, which what we do here at Learn MetaStock is we only help people with their MetaStock program, whatever it is, just kind of getting started, helping them with formulas, learning different systems. I mean, it just goes on and on. And we've been doing this since 2008. So there's a lot of different ways that we can help you out. But what I'm going to do is I want to go ahead and just get into the presentation at this time. And then at the end of the presentation, I want to give you just a quick overview of our website and the services that we do offer. So, but, as always, if you have any questions, make sure and let me know. Just send me a message in the chat window. And I'll be more than happy to try to cover, any type of questions afterwards there as well. So what we're going to be talking about today is an indicator, which is called the Supertrend indicator. And with a lot of the presentations and the subjects that I do or have done over the years have been brought to me as requests from different customers. And this is one that was brought to me a while ago. And I had at the time, I'd never really heard of it before. And I did some research on it and found out that it was really actually a very popular indicator, a trading strategy. And after doing some more research and going up and watching a lot of YouTube videos, again, I thought it was just a great, item to do a presentation on. It's this particular indicator here. The way that I would actually call it, I would call it a trend following type of indicator. Now, if you're new to technical analysis and so forth, trend following indicators, the idea here is that you try to find the overall trend and you trade in the direction of the overall trend. And with trend following indicators, they do very, very well when there is a trend, but the downside to trend following indicators is that when the markets get choppy, that's when trend following indicators have a hard time. And this one is really no exception, but there's a lot of things that we can do to kind of modify this thing, which is actually pretty nice. Now, this particular strategy, though, is one of the real benefits is that it's super easy to interpret. I mean, as you'll see here in just a couple minutes, I'll put the indicator up on the screen and you'll know exactly how to read it within, a minute or two. So very, very simple to follow. And one of the nice things about it is that it automatically adjusts for volatility. One of the indicators that is included, or basically that this system uses, is what's called an ATR, or an average true range. And what the average true range does, it adjusts based on what the prices are doing and how much they're moving and so forth. So this is another really popular indicator that you find in a lot of different types of trading strategies. And the real benefit to this is that it's very customizable. Just like, for example, like a moving average, you can put in whatever type of time frames you want, from A to Z. And this is something similar where, again, you can adjust it as much as you like, depending if you want to make it quicker, slower, whatever the case may be. And as I was stating before, there's a ton of training available for this as well. I'm going to actually show you all the formulas that I've created. And depending on, where you are with your MetaStock program, the nice thing about this is after this webinar, you'll be able to actually copy these formulas yourself and use them inside your MetaStock program. But, what I do here at Learn MetaStock is I bundle all this stuff together so you can literally just download it directly into your program. But again, if you do just want to copy it, I'm going to show you everything that I've done here as well. So the things that I do create that I created for this particular strategy is I created an indicator, an expert advisor, a couple system tests, and an exploration. But I'll show you all these different formulas. But at Learn MetaStock, once you become a subscriber, this is what I do when I basically develop a training or whatever system. I basically put all the formulas together and I make them downloadable so you can literally click on it and they automatically install into your program there. So let's go ahead and jump out to the program here. And let me just show you what we're talking about here. All right. So what we've got here is we've just got a chart here of the SPY, which is an ETF. The symbol is SPY, and it's an ETF of the S&P 500. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to our indicator quick list. And when you install any of our systems here from the Learn MetaStock website, all of my formulas are all going to begin with LMS for Learn MetaStock. So what you do is you just scroll down and you find this particular formula, which is called the Supertrend indicator, and you drag it directly on top of your price bars. Now, when you let go of it, this is going to ask you for the periods that you want to use in the average true range. The defaults are 7 periods for the length of it, and then 3 for the multiplier. So this is where we're going to get started. So I'll go ahead and just plot it. And one of the things that it'll ask you is that when you go to plot it, it's going to ask you how to scale it. And what's really important is that you merge it with the scale. So if you've got your price scale set up over here on the right-hand side, you make sure and merge it with the right-hand side, or vice versa if you have on the left-hand side, whatever. But what's important is that you merge it with the price scale so it plots correctly. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to just overlay it on top of the prices. Now, the way that this works, all you're doing is literally looking at the prices in relation to this line. This line is our Supertrend indicator. And what it's looking at here is it's looking at the prices. And if the prices are above this line, you're literally bullish. If the prices are below this line, you're either out of a bullish trade or possibly considering going short. That's it. I mean, that's the whole system. So when the prices, for example, cross from below the line to above it, what you're looking for is you're looking for the price to close above the line. So the closing price has to go above that line in order for it to basically trigger a long or bullish type of position. And vice versa, when it goes down below, it has to close below that lower line. And when it closes below it, that's going to signal or basically flip the indicator over. And you're either going to be out of a long position or you're going to possibly be looking for a short position. That's it. So super, as I was saying before, just super simple to really interpret. Now, what I've done here, one of the things that I always like to do is always like to backtest trading ideas. Whenever I, create an indicator, for example, a lot of times just looking at it on a chart to say, wow, if I'd have bought here, I'd have made a ton of money, right? And but the real question is that how would it have done really? Because one of the things that a lot of people kind of overlook, for example, when they're looking at charts, for example, it's really easy to gloss over the bad parts. So the real beauty of another power tool you have inside the program is a system tester, which allows you to objectively look at this data. And once you objectively look at this data, it'll tell you exactly where it bought, where it sold, whether you like that or not, and tell you how much money or whatever that you either made or lost. So the trading strategy that I created here, if you go up here and do a search on LMS, for example, that'll group my different systems here together that's installed on this computer, for example. And you'll see that I've created two different system tests. I've created a regular system test, and I also created one with optimization. So what optimization is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to actually plug in a range of data for this thing to test, so we can then sort on those results to kind of find out maybe something's better than just a 7-3 combination, which is the default. So let's go ahead and try it. So I'll go ahead and open it up. And so, for example, you'll see that when you open it up, you'll, of course, have the long, or basically the buy formula underneath the buy order tab here. Then we have a sell order tab and so forth. And over here on the far right-hand side, these are the optimization settings. So what this is going to do now is that we've got two different optimization variables that it's going to try to optimize on. One is the ATR multiplier, and one is the ATR length. And the multiplier, what this is going to do, it's going to test a multiplier of anywhere from 1 to 10 in steps of 1. And then for the length of the ATR indicator, it's going to test anywhere from 2 to 40 periods in steps of 2. So down here at the very bottom here, you'll see that this is going to run through 200 different combinations. Now, what's important is that when you run this optimization test, just be aware of how many securities you're going to run it on at any one time, because obviously this can really tie up your machine if you try to run this on, 100, 1,000 securities or whatever. So for this example, what I'm going to do is I'm only going to run this just on the SPY by itself, and we'll go in and take a look at the results. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And then over here on the right-hand side, my settings is I'm going to test going only long, for example. Okay, that's all I'm going to look for. But again, you can test it going short or do a combination of both. I'm going to look back over the last 1,250 records, which for daily data, 1,250 records equates to about 5 years of time. I'll tell it to run through the current exchange date and time. And then underneath our trade options here, let me just show you how I got this set up. I'm going to go to the account tab. And what I'm going to run is I'm going to run what's called a points only test, because a points only test is just going to return back a raw number of points that were gained or lost. And the reason why I like to do this is that I find this actually a really simple, easy way to test a lot of different securities and then just test or basically compare them side by side based strictly on the number of points that were gained or lost in the system test. And by doing that, what that does is that also takes out of the account any type of interest or margin that otherwise you can factor into it. And for commissions, I've got that set up to 0. And then for trade execution, I've got everything to be traded at the opening price with a 1-period delay. So what that's going to do, let me go ahead and get this started here, because this is going to take just a minute. I'll just put in the SPY here. Oops, SPY, okay. And then I'll go ahead and start it down here at the very bottom, all right? So by putting in a delay here, what this is going to do is that if I get a buy signal, for example, or what it's going to simulate, I should say, is that let's say I'm running this on end of day data and I get a buy signal on Wednesday night. Well, what this is going to simulate is that I get into the trade at the opening of the next trading day, which is going to be Thursday. And then vice versa, if I get, for example, like a sell signal, and on Friday, for example, then this is going to simulate that I get out at the opening on Monday. So as you can see down here at the bottom, this is going to run through 200 different combinations. And, as you can also see that what I've done too is I've told it to only do it on daily data. So another real commonly asked question I get with this is could I do this on other time frames? And the answer is absolutely. This is actually just a really pretty simple trading strategy, to say the least. Probably one of the most simple trading strategies. So for that reason, I mean, you could run this on 5-minute charts, 10-minute charts, weekly. It doesn't really make any difference because, again, it's just a basic indicator. So we'll go ahead and click on View Results. And what we're looking at here now is we're looking at the top 100 results now. Now, the other question is like, does this mean that every single one was profitable? And the answer is not necessarily. When I ran this optimization, if you remember, that there's going to be 200 different combinations that were going to be tested. But what the optimization parameters allows you, or the most that it will save for allowing you to view, is 100. So these are the top 100 results, okay? So now over here on the net profit, I'll just go ahead and click on this, for example, and we'll sort on that. And you can see that the top one here generated 175 points. There were 8 total trades. There were 5 winning trades and then 3 losing trades. And then the average profit to average loss here is 3.09. Now, this is actually a really important number. What this is telling you, it's telling you the size of your average winner to your average loser. And what you generally want to look for, what I should say that I always look for, is I look for at least a 2 or a 3 to 1 type of ratio, meaning that I want my average winners to be 2 or 3 times the size of my average loser. Now, the reason being for that is that if that holds up in real markets, and I really do have my average winners to be 2 or 3 times the size of my average losers, that means that I could be wrong more often than I'm right and make really good money with that trading strategy. And that could work out really well, obviously, for the long haul. But the problem that could happen is that if the opposite happens, meaning that my average loser becomes larger than my average winner, then it's just a matter of time before I wipe out my account. So statistically, if you run a system like that long enough, it will literally wipe out your account. And you can run a lot of different simulations to verify that. But so we want this number as large as possible. And generally, about 2 or 3 or higher, of course, is always good. Then over here on the right-hand side, these are the variables or the optimization variables that it came up with. And what this is showing is that in order to generate this over the last 5 years, this is the parameters that actually came out the best. So for example, if you would have used a multiplier of 5 and a length of the ATR of 38, this, again, like I say, over the last 5 years was the best combination. So let's go ahead and open it up. We'll go ahead and double click on it. And this will allow us to see, kind of the results behind the scenes there too, or give us more detail. So here you can see we ran it over the last 5 years. The profit was 175 and the buy and hold was 170. So the question is like, well, is that good? Is that bad? I mean, it sounds, gosh, I could have just bought and held on to this, right? Well, there's a couple things that really kind of think about whenever you decide to trade a particular trading strategy. And number one, of course, is how many times you've got a winning trade versus a losing trade, how big your winning trade is, how much your losing trade is, and so forth. And there's a couple other things that you might want to take a look at here as well. But let's just kind of go down here, and I'm just going to point out a couple things real quick. But here's our profitable trades. There are 5 winning trades, and the average profit was 43 points. And then our unprofitable trades was 3, and the average loss was 14. So this is that ratio right here where the average winner is over 3 times the size of the average loser. So these are the 2 numbers that I'm looking at right there. Now, another thing that I like to look at is right down here. This number right here is called the out-of-market timing, and the total is 428. So what does that mean? Well, that means that you are out of the market 428 bars. Okay, so let's go back up here to the top and remember that we tested 1,250 bars, right? So if you have to kind of keep in mind too how these bars all equate. So remember that there's typically 5 trading days in a week, approximately 21 trading days in a month, and approximately 250 trading days in a year. So if I was out of the market 428 bars, that means I was out of the market almost 5 years, right? I'm sorry, 2 years, my bad. Almost 2 years. And we tested 5 years. So that means that we generated 175 points in about 3.5 years of being in the market. But in order to generate 170 points, we had to be fully invested for that entire 5 years. So this is another thing that, in my opinion, is really important to kind of take a close look at. And then this field right over here, this reward to risk index, this is another one that's actually a pretty interesting one to take a look at here too. And you can see that this is a very high percentage. It only goes to 100%, and this is at 98%. So the question is, well, what exactly does that mean? Here's another thing real quick, is that there's a lot of fields in here that maybe you're not really sure how to interpret. But if you just click on the help up here at the top, let me go ahead and open this up, and I'll bring this back over. But the help inside the program is actually really well done. And this can be a great learning tool for you, to say the least. But this field right here, which again, you see right there, is called the reward to risk index. And this is the field right here. This is the explanation. So this index compares the risk to reward. In this index, risk is defined as the system open drawdown, meaning the lowest point of the equity line below the initial investment, meaning how far did it go down when you started off with square one, how far did it go down? And then the reward is defined as the total net profits, which is the final point on the equity line. And here are the different ratings. So as you can see, 100 is it. I mean, it means that you literally had no risk with this trading strategy. If you had 50, that's like a medium risk, 0, and so forth. And as you can see with this one, this is rated at 98%. So again, very, very high, to say the least. There's a lot of different fields in here that'll really kind of help you out once you kind of get up to speed with this. But again, if you need help, just click on that help, and I think they've done a really good job with that. Now, the other thing I like to take a quick look at here too is the equity. And what this is showing us is how our account started out and what it's done during that 5-year period. So whenever the line is jagged like this means that you're actually in the trade. And when this line goes flat like this means that you're out of the trade, you're sitting on the sidelines. So you can see that it actually behaved really nice during this stretch here. It looks like we had a losing trade right here, another one right here, and then we had a really nice trade, and then it's closed out, or basically out of the market right now, it looks like, right? So this is an item that I like to look at, and what we're looking at is as smooth of a line as possible from the lower left-hand side to the upper right-hand side, okay? Now, the other thing we can do is we can also click on this plot on chart, for example. Go ahead and close these down here. And when you plot this on the chart, up here at the very top, this is our equity curve. So I've already seen this, so I'm gonna go ahead and close that down. And then what we can do is we can plot our indicator here. We'll go ahead and just drag it on top of the chart. Now, in this case, is we want to adjust the indicator to reflect the same numbers that we got in that system test. So the number of periods, for example, would be 38, and then the multiplier would be 5. Go ahead and click on OK. Make sure and merge it with a scale and click on OK, and that'll plot it. And then what we're looking for here is we want to make sure that when, for example, when the prices close above that line, for example, I'll kind of really zoom in here for just a second there, just so we can really see this. Go ahead and click on this area if I can. There we go. So when the price closes above that line, 1 bar later is where we should get into that trade. And that's what you should be looking at really, really close to make sure that this thing is buying and selling where it should be buying and selling. And then the other thing too, as you can see, it says 1 with a 8 and a set of parentheses. Well, that's trade number 8, and it's saying that 1 unit was traded. And if you hover directly over it, you'll get this pop-up telling you what that is. So again, position number 8, 1 unit, and the price is $399.55. Now to check that, if you hover over that candle and look at the opening price, you'll see the opening price is $399.55. So again, we got in at the opening price here. So in theory, you would have gotten long here at this point, and prices pretty much moved sideways here. You had a drawdown right here. You can see the prices are well below your entry right there. We'll kind of move this forward, but then the prices actually moved in your favor, and we'll kind of zoom out here a little bit. And then right here, you can see the price dipped down below that line, but since it didn't close below that line, it stayed long and it didn't close out until this point right here. So that whenever you run a system test, you always want to plot the results on your chart and make sure that you understand exactly why it's buying and selling, where it's buying and selling. And if you can't figure that out, that's where you can stop. You need to go back and try to figure those different points out. Okay. And again, like I say, if you have questions, make sure and let me know. And Jeff, you can always interrupt me if there's a question pertaining to exactly what I'm doing at the time. I don't mind doing that as well. So now, once I have done something like that, then the other question is like, okay, so this did pretty well here on the SPY, but what if I want to trade individual securities, right, and do this? So then what I would possibly do here is then go back to the system test here. And what we could do then is we could run, for example, this other system test I created, which is basically the same system test, but it does not have optimization. And we'll go ahead and open this up here, and I'll go to the buy order, and so you can see the formula. Now with this one, this is the one where you can enter in your different parameters here for the ATR that you want to use. Now, one thing I always recommend, I'm sure, if I've got any customers or previous customers here in the class today, you've heard me talk about this a lot, and that is don't change original formulas. What I recommend that you do instead is that if you want to make a change to an original formula, is that you right-click on it, click on copy, and then you'll have a copy of that system, which you can make whatever changes that you want to make. And what's nice about that is you can always then just get back to the original very, very easily, right? So like that right there, I just basically clicked a key and I would literally wiped out the formula there. So just, again, it's really easy to click on something and change something you didn't mean to change. But if you're working with a copy, you can always get back to the original really easily that way. Okay, so now in this copy here, let's say that I want to run this same system or run a system tester with those parameters on a group of securities, for example. So to do that, again, I would go to just the standard system test. I would make a copy of it first of all. And then in this section right up here at the very top, we can then put in the parameters that we want to use. So for example, for the multiplier, I'll go ahead and change that, for example, to 5. And then I'll change the length here to 38. And then what I'll do, I'm going to go to the sell order here and then do the same thing up here. I'm going to go ahead and change that multiplier, for example, to 5. And I'll change the length here to 38, okay? And that way, again, it's going to be buying and selling using the same parameters for the indicator there, all right? So we'll click on OK. And now to run this system test, I'm going to go ahead and select it. And then down here at the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and run this on the S&P 100, for example. So I'm going to run this same system test here, and I'm going to run it on 100 securities. I'll keep everything else the same over here on the right-hand side, and we'll go ahead and just click on our Start System Test. All right. Now, one of the questions that you might have here is that we just ran an optimization test here on the SPY, for example. We came up with these parameters, and now what we're doing is we're taking those parameters that we ran on another security, and we're trying to run it on 100 different securities. Why are we doing that? Well, there's a number of reasons, but one thing that I always think about is that the majority of the securities trade in the direction of the overall market, meaning that if the market is up, I know the majority of the securities are also going to be up, and vice versa. If the market's down, the majority of the securities are going to be down as well. So my thought process is that if I come up with a good trading strategy that works well in the SPY, I'll probably be able to find some securities inside of that index that also basically work well with those same type of indicators and settings and so forth. So that's my thought process. But what you can also do too, of course, is rather than running it on an entire group, then you can, if you are only trading NVIDIA, Amazon, whatever, then of course you can customize to just those securities. But what I want to see in this case is I just want to see how it did on the entire group. So I'm going to go ahead and expand this window, and then we'll go ahead and just sort, for example, like on the net profit here. All right, so running those same settings on the SPY, on the S&P 100 securities, you can see that the majority of the securities tested profitably. It looks like about 3/4 of them, and about a quarter of them tested, did not test profitably, right? So I've got the securities sorted here right now by the net profit. And you can see the one that's on top right here is Broadcom. It generated 564 points. It had 6 trades, 3 winners, 3 losers, and the average profit was over 6 times the size of the average loser. So that's a really big number. So let's take a quick look at that one. I'll go ahead and double click on it. And here you can see that it didn't outperform the buy and hold though, which is kind of interesting. So then again, that kind of brings you back to the previous question that we looked at before. Well, do I want to trade this then, or what do I want to do? Well, to make that decision, again, you have to remember that you're in the market for the full 5 years in order to generate these 666 points, right? If you wanted to trade this system, for example, which generated 564 points, you were out of the market 400 bars. So again, this generated the 564 points in about 3.5 years. So you weren't in the market the entire time. So that's always something to think about whenever you decide to, follow a particular trading strategy on a security. So that's Broadcom. We'll go back here, and here's NVIDIA, for example. Look at the size of the average profit, average loss here, 9.5. So that's a really large number to say the least. So this really actually only beat the buy and hold by a couple points. We'll scroll down here, but again, you're out of the market about 4. This one was close to 2 years of time. So this is generating 381 points in about 3 years, and you were fully invested for 5 years to generate 379. So, and again, take a look at these reward risk numbers over here on the right-hand side. Very, very high percentage here, meaning that, again, your reward to risk was, again, a very, very high number. You can always, again, look at the equity curve here to kind of get an idea of, were there any major drawdowns? I mean, did it work pretty smoothly and so forth? But this will give you a lot more information there. And then if we look down here, like Charter Communications, if we look at this one, look at the average profit, average loss. It's only 1.5. So that's under my 2-to-1 ratio here that I'm typically looking for. So that's a pretty low number, especially when I've got such high numbers to choose from. Like, for example, like there's Netflix. Go ahead and open this one up. This one generated 290 points, and the buy and hold on Netflix was only 75 points. So this system did really well, or really fit Netflix, really well, I should say. There were 6 total trades. 5 of them were winning trades and only 1 loss. The average winner was over 59 points, and the average loss was about 7.5 points. And again, down here at the bottom, you were out of the market over almost 2 years of time, meaning you generated this in about 3 years of time. So again, keep in mind, I'm showing you end of day data here. So this obviously can be used on intraday data too. So when I'm talking years in time, if you're not a long-term trader, you've got the real-time version of MetaStock or MetaStock Pro, again, you could use this on whatever time frame you want, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the case may be. But anyway, all right. So I hope that makes sense so far. So again, what we can do here is we can test all these different combinations. We can test them on groups of securities, and we can, again, like I say, we can optimize them and so forth. Now, one of the things that I came across when I was doing research for this trading strategy is that there's a lot of different strategies out there where they take this Supertrend system and then they combine it with other indicators. As I was telling you at the very beginning of this webinar, I was telling you about how this is a trend following indicator. And the $1 million question is how do you know when something's trending or it's now not trending, right? And if we know that something's going to trend for a long time, well, heck, let's just, use a moving average or whatever the case is for that trading indicator. So we don't know what that answer is the problem. We can only use indicators, and we can only basically make the best decision that we can with the information that we have at the time, because nobody knows what the market's going to do. So one thing that I saw a lot of when I was doing some research on the system is combine it with other indicators to help answer or try to help answer that question. And the one thing that they did there is rather than just looking for this system to cross, for example, like the prices to cross that indicator, is they combined it, for example, with a moving average. And they said, let's only buy this if, for example, the closing price is above the long-term moving average, or get out of it at that point. So how would I test this strategy here and combine another indicator? So what I'll do here for this example is I'm going to just show you just very quickly how to add a moving average criteria to this formula. This last line right here, this is what it's looking for. This is identifying that the closing, that the indicator, for example, what it's doing in relation to the closing price when that happens. Okay, so right here, let's go to the buy order. Sorry about that. This is identifying that the closing price is crossing above that indicator. And when that happens, that indicates a long position. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to add a moving average criteria to this. So what I'm going to do at the end here is I'm just going to say, and I'm going to say that the closing price also has to be above its moving average. So hands down, the most common moving average that I saw demonstrated using the Supertrend indicator examples out on the internet there was using it when it crosses above or goes above a 200 period exponential moving average. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to say that the close is greater than a 200 period exponential moving average. So the way that you'd write that is MOV for moving average, open parenthesis, close, comma, the length of your moving average, and then followed by the type of moving average, which is E, which is an abbreviation for exponential. So in other words, this second line says that the closing price has to be greater than its 200 period exponential moving average. So in order to go long, these two criteria have to be met. The closing price has to cross above, for example, has to cross above that indicator, and the closing price has to be above its 200 period moving average. So we'll click on OK, and then let's go ahead and run it. I'll go ahead and select that same one. And again, what I'll do is I'll choose that same database, and we'll go ahead and click on our Start System Test. All right. So this is going to, again, run through those same 100 securities. But what we're going to be doing, again, just one more time, is it's going to be looking for the securities that are crossing above the indicator number one, and the closing price has to be above that 200 period moving average. Now, as you might imagine, I've gone through a lot of systems in my years and years of doing this and so forth. And one thing that I have found that I think is true is that a lot of times the simpler the system, sometimes the better the trading strategy. And what I've seen over and over again is some strategies get so complicated that I don't know, that they don't perform as well as what you think that they would. You know, you try to add in all these different factors and so forth, but a lot of times it just doesn't help. And sometimes just trying to keep something simple is sometimes the best way to go. But anyway, that's kind of what I've found anyway. But anyway, I'll go ahead and sort on the net profit here. Okay, so running that strategy then, now here you can see, for example, you can see the securities. It looks like now we're at about half and half. About half the securities, you know, were profitable, about half of them were unprofitable. So that red, you know, did creep up here quite a bit here. And then the values of them, you can see, like, for example, the one we were looking at before that did the best, Broadcom, now only had 3 trades, 2 winning trades and 1 losing trade. And the average winner was about 2.3 points higher, or times the average losing trade. So let's just go ahead and open that one up. I'll go ahead and plot it on the chart here. And let me just show you kind of what happens here sometimes. I'll go ahead and close this down. And let's go ahead and plot that indicator here on Broadcom. All right. And we're going to change the multiplier here, or the periods, to 38, and then the multiplier to 5. And we'll click on OK. And make sure and merge it. We'll click on OK. All right. So as you can see, like right here, for example, let me kind of zoom in here for this section right there. You can see that this is a really nice trade right here, right? The price crossed up above the line. It got long, beautiful trade right here, right? So then the question is, well, how come it didn't do as well as it did before? Well, if you kind of go back here, well, what we did here is we added this 200 period moving average. Another really nice trade right here, by the way. I'll kind of go back here. And you'll see that right here, this is a big trade that it missed out on. And the question is why did it miss out on this big trade? You'll see that there's no entry signal down here at the bottom. How come? And the answer is that if we go ahead and plot the moving average on here as well, go ahead and plot that on here. And I'll make that 200 periods, and we'll change that to exponential. And we'll click on OK. All right, so here's our 200 period exponential moving average. So the criteria for this trading strategy is that in order for the long position to be valid, the prices actually have to be above that 200 period moving average at that time. And since the prices were below that moving average, it never got long. And for that reason, it missed out on this whole move right here. So this is the kind of thing that can get kind of tricky when you start looking at these trading strategies and you try adding something in and saying, oh, you know, gosh, if I would have added in this trailing stop, I would have done way better and things like that. But I'm here to tell you that sometimes, again, sometimes the simpler systems sometimes do better than these ones where you try to add in all these different things. And I'm sure there's a number of people in our webinar today that are very proficient in technical analysis. There's probably a number of them that might agree with me as well. So, all right. So anyway, in addition to those tools that I created, I've also created a couple other tools here too. And what I also created was an exploration. So let me go ahead and show you that real quick. I'll show you how that works, but I'll go into this LMS Supertrend exploration. And here you can see I've only got basically these four different columns here. I've got the closing price in column A. I got the date in column B. And the reason why I put the date in here is I just want to make sure that my date that I'm scanning on is the date that I really want. It's a really easy mistake to make as well, is not choosing the correct dates. But then I've got column B, which is identifying a buy signal, and then column D, which is identifying a sell signal. Now, same thing, like if I want to look for securities that are giving me a buy or sell condition or signal right now, what I'd want to do is, again, I'd want to make a copy of this, okay? That way I've got my original setup. So this is just marked as copy. Then I'd go underneath the buy column and then just change these parameters. So again, I changed the multiplier, for example, to 5, change the length of it to 38, and then do the same thing for the sell signal here too. So change that to 5, for example, change the length to 38, click on OK. And then of course, then to run it, we'll go ahead and just make sure we select the copied version. I'll run it on the S&P 100 securities down here at the bottom. Over here on the right-hand side, I'll tell it to go back over the last 5 years using daily data and click on our start exploration. Again, this will begin the process. So now what this is going to do, this is going to go out and look for any securities where the closing price right now is either crossing above that super trend indicator or crossing down below it. And here you can see, this is going to give you an idea. You'll see that 100% are being rejected right now. So I'm not finding any securities. So let me go ahead and just try that one more time. But what I'm going to do instead of running through the current exchange, I'm going to just back it up one day, because I'm pretty sure I saw some signals yesterday. So let me go ahead and run this one more time, and we'll just run it through yesterday's close, just so I can give you an example here. But, you know, as you can see, just running these different scans and so forth is super simple. You just select it, and then, of course, then you can go and take a look at the results. So here you can see that I am going to get something anyway. So, yeah, there's one security here, Gilead. We'll go ahead and open that up and then close that down. And you can see in the report, by the way, just real quick, that it's a buy signal. There's a 1 underneath the buy column, and there's a 0 underneath the sell column, meaning that this is basically indicating a buy signal using those same parameters that we came up with before. So I'll go ahead and drag that indicator down on it. Go ahead and grab that, and we'll go ahead and put that on there. And again, the number of periods we'll use is 38, and then the multiplier, we're going to set that to 5. Click on OK, and merge it with our scale. Okay, so the reason why this thing got that signal yesterday is because this last candle here closed above that line right there. Now, one last thing I want to show you just real quick, and that is I also created, for example, or have with this also is an expert advisor, which might be helpful as well. So to apply the expert advisor, just click on the expert advisor guy up here at the very top. Scroll down to the group of formulas that begin with LMS. Oops, just find it alphabetically. And then select, for example, again, the Supertrend expert. And what we want to do in this one is we want to go to the symbols tab here, and underneath the buy column or the buy symbol, for example, again, we just need to adjust these parameters. So I'll change the multiplier here, for example, to 5, change the length of it to 38, and click on OK, and then do the same thing for the sell signal. Change the multiplier again to 5, and then the length of it to 38, and click on OK. All right. And by doing that and then attaching it to your chart and clicking on close, that then will give you these buy and sell signals. Now, sometimes with these buy and sell signals, you can see these are red and green and they can be kind of hard to see. So another thing we could do is we could double click on the candles and we could change these, for example, like to bars. And maybe I'll just make the bars white, for example, just so the signals will really stand out. There you go. And that'll actually allow you to see it, quite a bit easier. So, all right. So the expert advisor, the nice thing about the expert advisor, again, too, is that these signals are going to be updated in real time as you get your data. So the second that you apply it, whether you ran a test on it or not, all these signals will be updated for you automatically. All right. So that's what I've got for you. Let me, I hope that's helpful. One thing, I guess basically at this time, what I really want to do is just take a couple minutes. I just want to tell you a little bit about what we offer at Learn MetaStock. Again, the website is up at learnmetastock.com. And what we do, again, is we just help people with their MetaStock program in whatever way, shape, or form that we can. Now, primarily what we do, though, is if you go to the website and click on this live classes here, we do 3 live classes on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at noon, basically at this time, every week. And we do 3 classes, and these classes, of course, rotate. But once you become a member, you just click on the join live class, and that way you can just come into our class and you can ask your questions, whatever the case may be. And then where the majority of the people spend their time is underneath the video library. And what you'll find is underneath the video library is that we have well over 100 videos in here on subjects from A to Z having to do with MetaStock. So first of all, if you can't make our live classes, but you do still want to see what we covered in our live class, we always put the previous week's recordings in this top group right here. So you can always go in here and then you can go watch, what we did the previous week, for example. But here you can see, we've got a number of different categories, whether you're just getting started or maybe just you're brand new to MetaStock or whatever the case may be, you can go to these different groups here like this getting started. And this is an area where I recommend almost everybody to get started. And that is starting with MetaStock Introductions Part 1 and 2 and Next Step and MetaStock Advanced. And from there, then you can go anywhere you want. You want to learn the forecaster, maybe the expert advisor, maybe you want to do something with system testing. We've got classes on all these different subjects here that we can help you out in a lot of different ways. And one of the really important ones, for example, is like formula writing. Depending on what you want to get out of MetaStock, we can teach you, again, really all the nuts and bolts having to do with it. And probably one of the most popular areas that we do a lot of work with is this section right here, which is called the trading strategies. And what we do here is like what we did today, where we take a subject where I got either out of a magazine, off of a video, a book, whatever the case may be, and then I show you how to duplicate that strategy. And in addition to that, when I do that, what'll happen is what I was telling you about before, is that I create these different formulas for you. And what you can do is that when you click on this button right over here on the right-hand side underneath the resources, this is how you can download those formulas directly into your program. So again, that can save you a massive amount of time and effort and work, to say the least. And so, I can't promise you a lot, but one thing I can promise you is that, if you are interested in getting up to speed with the program quickly, is I can save you a massive amount of time and effort, to say the least. So anyway, so I hope that that's helpful. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Jeff, and we'll go from there. So.
All right, cool. Thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate that. Okay. Very cool. Let me go ahead and kind of just, one of the things that I want to say about Learn MetaStock is that it's a really, really cool service. But every time I bring somebody on as a new sales rep here, or if it's in support, I don't manage the support directly, but when we bring on a new person to help people with MetaStock and help with the MetaStock process, the actual first thing that we do is actually put them through learnmetastock.com. It's actually essentially part of our training program and our training curriculum because it's so well organized. So let me go ahead and turn the camera back over to me real quick and kind of the presentation here, and just kind of highlight a few of these things. But yeah, I would recommend this. One of the things I like to talk about MetaStock is it's a huge tool. And oh, hold on just a second. All right. And just like any tool, the better that you know how to use that tool, the better it's going to work for you. So the Learn MetaStock, you should be able to see my screen now, has literally hundreds of hours of instructional videos. Kevin does 3 webinars a week that are live, but in addition to that, you get the 21 basic MetaStock videos. You get the expert advisor videos, system testers. One of the things that Kevin does that I'm actually quite fond of is he will take methodologies that might be covered in like stocks and commodities and or other places, kind of actually from a very neutral perspective, evaluate them, much like he did with the Supertrend indicator today. And so what that means as part of the thing is he'll talk about what he likes about a particular methodology, how it works, if he likes it, kind of the pros and cons of running it, but he also provides all of the formulas for it. And so you can download those as long as you're a MetaStock, Learn MetaStock member. And over the years, he's compiled a collection of like 21 complete different trading systems. And all of those have videos and downloads, and you can put them right into MetaStock. But there's 9 templates, 62 indicators, 4 expert advisors, 28 system tests, and 13 explorations. So, Michael, I'm getting right. Actually, let's go straight there. So, how long will it take? You can go through it as much as you want to, but the cost of it is actually very, very affordable. So, thanks for your interest in the service, Michael. It's $99 per month, and that's unlimited access. You can go and watch it as fast as you want or as slow as you want. The other thing that Kevin is going to do for you is if you've never had Learn MetaStock before, you can get you can pay $99, and for that $99, you'll actually have 3 months of access to his entire site. MetaStock before. Your per month cost for 3 months is going to be like $33 a month. So it's a really, really good way to kind of evaluate the service, learn a lot, and I'd recommend you give it a try. As soon as we start a new rep, I kid you not, the first thing we do is get all their tax information. And then the second thing we do, so we can pay them. The second thing we do is get them logged into Learn MetaStock and have them start to go through videos because they are so good. So you can find out more about that if you go to metastock.com/learnmetastock 3-for-1. You can give us a call at 800-882-3040, or you can go to metastock.com/sales-chat. For you, Kevin, thanks for coming. I appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed being here. For all of you that came and watched, I hope you learned something. Hope you picked something up. And thanks for using MetaStock if you do. Thanks for liking and subscribing because I know you did. And we'll see you again soon. metastock.com/learnmetastock 3-for-1. Thanks, guys. See you again soon.
Hi, Kelly Clement here from MetaStock. Before you go, I have 2 quick things for you. 1, thanks for joining us today. We love having you here at our webinars and viewing our videos. So what I'd like to invite you to do before you go is like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps us a great deal and it helps us bring you more awesome content like today's video. The second thing is we have a great ebook on trading that you can get for free. If you go to metastock.com/YouTube book, you can get a free copy of The Secrets of Successful Traders. It's a great book with lots of content from traders just like yourself who can teach you some of the secrets that they have learned. Thanks for taking a second with me and learning about those 2 things. Thanks for joining us and keep on trading.